What is up, y'all? Season 6 of the third intermission is almost here. It's your boy Avry. But before we get there, we want to upload some final bits of audio from last year. One of them being my interview with now Winnipeg Jets defenseman Isaak Phillips, who at the time of this taping was playing for the Chicago Blackhawks and in the org also too with the Rockford IceHogs. We got into scoring his first goal in the NHL and his GOAT West Indian dish. All that and more coming up right now. Welcome to the show. How are things, buddy?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on. Got an off day here in Rockford, so good to hop on with you guys.
Nice. Yeah, of course, I want to have you on for a bit here. I know, of course, you've been a mainstay in Rockford. You've been going up and down between Chicago and Rockford. And one thing too is that one thing I love about your story is that you are one of the few NHL players who's played for Team Jamaica. I know your background is St. Vincent and you're Finnish, but like, what has it been like, Isaac, to be able to put on for West Indian Nation? Say, hey, hockey in the West Indies is a big thing in our communities, be it if you're of St. Vincent descent, be it if you're Jamaican, if you're Trini, if you're from Barbados. What does it mean to be able to represent West Indies in hockey internationally?
Yeah, I think it was really great to play in that tournament. And to be able to grow the game in all facets. It was really fun to be able to play on a team, where everyone looks the same as you. We had a lot of fun doing that, and I think it was like 5, 6 years ago now, but it's great to be a part of that. And I know we all like being able to showcase what Team Jamaica can do, what players of West Indian descent, whenever you're all able to get together, it's really fun.
Of course, I've seen a term, there's so many guys who, like yourself, guys who play in the NHL who have Caribbean heritage, guys in the AHL, guys in European hockey, guys all over the CHL who have that heritage. What does it mean to see so many guys of that background be able to come together on one team and say, hey, there's a place for us to play on a global stage somewhere?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the goal is to get into those big tournaments, but you have to start with like the little things and just getting the group together, getting the framework in place to be able to even showcase ourselves in that light, on a big stage. So I think it's good for, all the guys that are playing pro, that whenever we can get together, I think it's important that we all, you don't just blow it off and think, I'm going to miss out on this one. I think it's important that we all kind of get into it and buy in. And maybe it won't benefit us in our timeline in the game, but maybe, 20 years from now, you could see a Team Jamaica, playing in like a Four Nations event or something like that.
Exactly. No, I couldn't agree more. I know originally one of the big founders was Graham Townsend, who was the first Jamaican-born NHL player. He really got things going, and now you've got Chris Stewart as a coach. What does it mean to have Chris Stewart backing this and be a major part of making Team Jamaica be a reality in different tournaments in a major way, Isaac?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, like I said, it's great that, when guys like Chris and, they have a little bit of a platform that they use it. It's really easy for guys just to, retire and to go off and to do something else. But for them, it's kind of giving back into players, younger players like myself. And then it leads a good example for me to, to give back to players that will be coming up when I'm a little bit older. So I think it's huge for guys like that.
No, of course. You mentioned internationally, and so a few of my other colleagues, we actually made a roster. We made a Team West Indian roster for the Four Nations tournament, and we realized there's so many guys who could be in this roster. So if someday, maybe if in 5, 6, 7 years, one day someone says to you, Isaac, we're putting together Team West Indies for the World Cup of Hockey, would you be down to play on that team one day?
100%. I mean, I think that's something everybody would be interested in. It's such a fun event. I know definitely for all the, for the Swedish guys, for the Finnish guys, for the American
Yes.
guys, for the Canadian guys. I mean, when you're all together, you're always fighting them when you're on the other team, but then when you're playing together, it's for your own country, for your own nation. It's really something special. So I think everyone would be happy to join in on that.
You're an Ontario boy from Barrie, and your background is mentioned, St. Vincent background and a Finnish background. What are
hmm
like what are like at home? Be it lifestyle, be it food, even as well too.
Yeah, I think I get the best of both worlds. Both my grandparents are immigrants to Canada right before my parents were born. Both in came from, so my dad's side came from St. Vincent and the Grenadines
Mhm.
to Toronto, and my mom's side came from Helsinki, Finland to Toronto right before she was born. And then, they ended up meeting in Toronto in college and then moved to Barrie, and rest is kind of history. But yeah, they both put me and my sister both into hockey, and we loved it, and it kind of just went from there.
That is amazing. Of course, I know you've heard before your background, your inspiration for hockey. You grew up watching PK Subban, and of course, anybody who's of color, who's black, you love PK's style, the flair from which he played on Nashville, Montreal, New Jersey. What did it mean to see him as a guy you could look up to and say, hey, if PK is doing it on the back end for the Habs, and these different teams at the start, I could do it too. What did it mean to see a guy like him on the biggest platform of the game be a guy who also won a Norris Trophy as well?
Huge. I think it's just, it speaks to representation in the game. Seeing people that look like you do it, it gives you that little belief that you can do it yourself. My parents were big on that. Doesn't matter what sport it was, I had pictures of Willie O'Ree in my room, BK, Muhammad Ali. It's just, those are guys you look up to. And just being able to see them live out your dream gives you that hope as well.
Of course. And I think the big thing about PK is that he was such a strong guy when it came to the fashion game. I got to ask you guys, like, how is your suit game compared to PK's? Are you a big fan of the flashy game day suits? I know NHL guys are a bit more reserved for the game day suits, with some exceptions. But how's your suit game, either in Chicago or in Rockford?
I like my suit game. I'm definitely into fashion, into style. It's been a little hard the last 3 years, going up and down a lot. You're living out of a suitcase, living in a hotel half the year. So I've kind of refrained on getting some really nice suits. So I'm going to wait, hopefully, until I can settle down in a spot for a while and, really build that closet up, build that wardrobe. But, I love PK's flair, hopefully get some of my own soon.
Nah, fair enough. I gotta ask you though, is there one guy in the Blackhawks who's a big suit guy? Is there a fashion guy in the Blackhawks? You're like, oh, this is a guy who knows how to put together.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys have a good style. Suit game. I like Mrazek's suit game a lot. Peter Mrazek
Okay.
goalie. He's got some good flair. He's got some good style for sure.
Nice. I like hearing that. I like hearing that. Of course, I mentioned you being in Chicago system. And what has it been like in that system and playing in Chicago? We know the history of the Blackhawks, a lot of legends who've been there, the Matt House and Madison. What was it like being in that locker room? What was it like making your NHL debut and realizing, wow, I finally made this is where I want to be? Like,
Yeah, it's really awesome. I mean, it's super cliche, but it's really like you can't even describe it. That first game at home in Chicago at the United Center. The anthem. It's like you almost black out. It's so loud in there. This is kind of. I almost try to just sit back and think, like, and just try to take it all in, take it super slow, but also be super grateful for the opportunity, and just no bad days. Just really, no matter if the game's not going your way, next shift doesn't matter. Just play. This is your dream, and this is what you've been working for your whole life.
no, that's amazing. Of course, we know what your first goal in the AHL came against the Seattle Kraken, and the way you scored it, was that how you dreamt about your first goal? Because I saw when you first scored, people were saying, "What a shot! What a goal!" Was that how you pictured your first NHL goal happening?
I don't know if I pictured it being a backhand, but I mean, I'll take it. It was nice to, get the feet moving and kind of go end to end there a little bit. But it was really nice to get one there a couple years ago, and yeah, that's something I'll cherish forever.
That's amazing, and I do believe I'm pretty sure the assist came from another guy with them West Indian roots and Jason Dickinson. Am I correct in that? He got the assist in that
Yes,
goal.
yeah,
I remember that. I remember seeing and thinking to myself, that is amazing. That is super cool to know there was a little bit of heritage connection there from the West Indies on your first NHL goal, Isaac.
yeah. I didn't even know that Dickie had some of that heritage.
Yeah, I believe he's Saint Kittian heritage. So yeah, so that's a
Oh,
little
okay.
bit. Yeah, so you can when you go back up, you tell him, hey, we got a little bit of West Indian blood in both of us.
Yeah, for sure.
That's amazing. And I think you look at your game as you're someone you're finding your footing now in pro hockey. Where do you want to take your game going forward now? Like where do you see your game growing in year 5, year 6 as a pro hockey player now, Isaac?
Yeah, I think for me, I'm just kind of coming into my own now. I'm only 23 as a D man. I've got a lot of room to grow, but I think for me, the biggest thing is that two-way game. Playing hard D, being rangy, being mobile, moving pucks up quick. And then, you can kind of join in on that second wave when it's there, but you're not leading the rush yourself. But I think for me, the biggest thing, is penalty killing,
Hmm.
playing against, the top two lines, shutting down, and just getting the puck in the forward's hand as quick as possible.
No, of course. I know this year has been a year where it's been tougher this year, of course, to rebuild. And of course I know you guys did let go of Luke Richardson and your old coach, Anders Sorensen, he went up to Chicago now. When you do get back when you get recall again, is it nice to have a guy like Anders in your system still going up between Rockford and Chicago? I think that'd be nice to have some continuality between the two teams where Anders is there in Rockford now in Chicago. I
Yeah, definitely brings a lot of familiarity. I've been with Anders now for I think like 5 years. So we've been through a lot together. He's helped me a ton. We got a lot of faith in him. He's going to do a great job up there. But yeah, it definitely helps with Anders up there. I think with his systems and stuff, the team should be moving their feet a little bit more. Hopefully, competing a little more games, getting a couple more wins. But yeah, I really like Anders as a coach for sure.
Mm. What is it like playing for a European coach in North American hockey? Because I know in North America, European coaches have been very rare. There's only been three all time in NHL. What's it like playing for a coach who's Swedish? Because in North America, that's a very rare thing to see a guy who his background came from overseas in large part, Isaac.
I didn't even realize, I don't think a lot of us realized that he was the first Swedish coach to be a head coach in the NHL. But I don't think it really changes too much. Anders has been over in North America for a long time. He started off as a development guy. He knows the game really
Mm.
well. But I think for him, it's nice that he knew the taste growing up of the European game over there, and then came over here and gets to implement a little bit of that. So I think it's probably really benefited him knowing the European style of the game and then bringing it over and mixing it with the style of game over here.
No, of course. I do got to ask you, a guy who's played in Chicago in the system, there's someone who I got to ask you about him. It is the one, the only Connor Bedard. What has it been like being on a team with him and seeing what he can do? Because it seems like anytime he gets the puck, it's a highlight waiting to happen, no matter if it's a goal or an assist on when he's on the ice, Isaac.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely the feeling he brings. You have to give him that respect that something can happen anytime the puck's on his stick. Yeah, he's still super young and he's still going to grow a ton, and it's awesome to see how good he is. And he's only 19, whatever, 20 years old. So yeah, I think everybody in Chicago is really super excited for him. The team, but the biggest thing is just the way he approaches the game, and how mature he is for how young he is. He's almost leading the team at such a young age, with his mentality, being in the gym first, just his work ethic, stuff like that goes a long way. So I think that's the thing that people notice first.
Yeah, you mentioned that right there. He's 19 years old, and already you talk about him having those qualities of maturity, leadership. I'm sure you and your team are going to be wondering what he's going to be like when he's fully into himself when he's say 22, 23. Because being like that at 19, he's already destined for stardom. He's destined for greatness, no matter where his game goes. Isaac.
Yeah, I think for him, it's just staying the course, not forcing anything, not wanting to be um, Nathan McKinnon right now at 19 years old.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a lot of time and a lot of growing to do and learning the game, and as we all do. And yeah, I think for him is just staying the course and not wanting to rush it. And he's gonna be great no matter what.
No, I could not agree more. So, I was doing some investigative work, Isaac, and I'm pretty sure I did. I saw on your Twitter page. Are you a Cleveland Browns guy? You're a Browns fan?
I don't know if I don't have a team. As a Canadian guy,
Okay.
I can't say I have a team. I like to cheer for the teams that are closest to Canada, but I haven't really locked in on a team just yet.
Okay, guys. I saw a retweet on your page, a Browns retweet. I'm thinking to myself, ooh, a guy playing in Chicago supporting the Cleveland Browns. That might be a tough look for you in the locker room.
Well, that must have been a long time ago. I don't know. I went to my first Bears game this year during training camp, and I really liked that. So, as much as it may be hard right now, I think I got to cheer for the Bears.
Fair. You know what though? Unfortunately for that, I'm a Packers guy, so I'm not seeing the Bears struggle for me, it brings me joy being a Packers guy. But hey, you know what? Hey, either way, Caleb Williams, he's fun to watch. I gotta admit that much.
Yep, that's for sure. Fun to watch. He's a superstar.
I gotta ask someone who's been in Chicago for a while. What being in Chicago for the 4 seasons now? What about Chicago do you like the most? Like, what do you like the most about Chicago? Is the lifestyle of the city? Like, what about the city do you like the most in Chicago? Because I've been there before. I think such a fun place to be in, no matter what you're into. In my mind.
Yeah, I think I love the city a ton. There's so much to do. There's so many restaurants. The guys talk about it all the time. You could live there for 10 years and still not try all the restaurants. Just, it doesn't matter what day of the week it is, there's something to do, but it's not too busy. It's not like New York where you're overcrowded,
Mhm.
and the city's super clean. I can't say enough good things about Chicago. I love it there.
No, that is amazing. That is amazing. I did have to ask you before you come over. Let you go. I do want to ask you. I know a big thing in locker rooms, no matter Isaac if it is hockey, basketball, football, soccer, whatever, is the music. So I got to ask you, in both Rockford and Chicago, who is the leader of the aux cord, and who's the guy you would not give the aux cord to?
Up top, I don't know. It changes. The music in the morning is a lot more chill. It's a lot of country, maybe folk, relaxing music in the morning. So anyone can really hop on that. But then for game time, up top, it's Jonesy, Connor Murphy. The veteran guys, they take it. You don't want to be a young guy hopping in and throwing the wrong song, and it's not a good look being a young guy. Um, but down here, we've been last year we listened to a lot of house music before games. Now we're listening to a lot of rap. It switches. We got to find something that really works for us. So we're still figuring that out down here in Rockford.
Fair enough. Yeah, I know talking guys. I know for myself covering New Orleans. I know you guys like a lot of there's a lot of EDM guys, a few rap guys. I noticed that there's like three genres in the HL locker room or HL locker room that you guys go. You guys don't deviate too much. There's a tried and true genre you guys like, no matter what team it is.
Yeah, that's for sure. Creatures of habit.
I I cannot agree more, and I do want to ask you now. Before I let you go, I do want to ask you, Isaac, what in your mind, what in your mind is the goat West Indian dish? Is it rice and peas? Is it jerk chicken? What is the goat West Indian dish to Isaac Phillips in your mind?
My, I'm torn. Like I would say, I get jerk chicken and rice and peas more, but my favorite might be roti. I don't know. They're really 50-50 for me. I'm a jerk chicken guy for sure, but every time I get roti, it's just never misses.
Oh man, hey, I'm down here, man. I'm a huge roti guy, so I love hearing that answer. And Isaac, gonna blast having you on. Gotta do it again sometime. And thank you for tapping in for
Mhm.
the third intermission, buddy.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.